Yes, guys, I'm sorry. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. Welcome to the Championship stroke Cardiff City chat, live stream, show, whatever you may want to call it. Got like a super crease t-shirt on today. I don't know what's going on with that. So yeah, we're going to talk all things Championship, also in Cardiff City. Have a good old delve into that. Big shout out to the Sports Social Podcast Network for hosting all our audio shows. Please do check them out. They got loads of podcasts, loads of shows. Everything really good. Sports Social Podcast Network, great stuff. You'll find podcasts and shows which suit your tastes, no matter what it is. The only sports podcast network in the country, so please do check them out. And of course, check out all our other sponsors and stuff like that. If you would like to become a member and join the Ace Nation Army, keep the channel going, all you have to do, go to patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. And it's the price of a coffee per month. Literally allows us to book studios and the rest of it. Just really keeps us going. I can't tell you how much of a help that is. Trying to sort my camera out, so excuse me a bit. There we go. That's a bit better. So yeah, lots and lots to discuss. The Championship is well and truly back and in full flow as Ipswich Town top the league, unbeaten alongside alongside Leicester, the only two teams with a 100% record. But there's some big boys down the bottom who haven't won a game yet. Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield, and Middlesbrough all lost their opening games. Leeds, who I tipped to do quite well, only got a point at the moment. Cardiff City only with a point. The Jacks only with a point. So, yeah, there's some big, big names down the bottom. What will occur? We'll start with the Championship generally, I think. Ipswich Town. I can't remember who it was. Someone in the comments when we were doing the Championship preview show said they fancied Ipswich to do quite well. And actually, over the last couple of years, the teams which have come up have done really well. You've got your Lutons, you've got your, who was it last year? Coventry's, you've got... Sunderland. They've come up from League One and they've done very well in the Championship. Is the gap between the Championship and the League One getting smaller? Like, it's difficult to get out of the Championship, but is it equally difficult to get out of League One? There's some massive teams down there, and it's such a high standard. Some big name players playing in League One as well, alongside the big clubs. And look, Ipswich beat Stoke 2-0 at home on Saturday. Stoke on the back of a 4-0 victory over Middlesbrough on the opening day. So they would have been absolutely buzzing. So it's a really, it's an interesting one. One thing I did want to say just before we move on, I want to say a big happy birthday to young Arlo, 6-year-old Cardiff City fan who missed the opening game of the season on Saturday because he broke his femur. But he had a visit today from Joe Rolls and some people from the club. And I know the club have been looking after him. So happy birthday to Arlo. Keep recovering, my friend. And do your physio and all that sort of stuff. And you'll be right as rain. And back at the stadium in no time. And that's the other thing. Like Lorna's, Reese's mum's just made a good point. Colchester, who played Cardiff in the EFL Cup last week, it looked pretty good. They're in League Two, Mark Harris, former Cardiff City striker, looking prolific, as Jonathan Davis puts it. Is League One and League Two, are they stronger? Are they? I don't know. It's an interesting one. But the teams who coming up most recently are doing very, very well when they're coming up to the Championship, which, you could argue, I think Reece said there, like they've got momentum, they've got a winning habit. So there's that. I think that's momentum. Momentum is massive in football. And that's why you see teams go on these, runs of wins and losses. And equally, a bad run is infectious. And if you lose a couple, it's difficult to dig yourself out of it. Middlesbrough is the one really which has surprised me. Michael Carrick did such an amazing job last year after he came in. Looked so organised. And they're just all a bit all over the place at the moment. Rooted to the bottom. There's only 2 games gone. There's a long, long way to go. I don't worry about Middlesbrough in terms of being anywhere near relegation, as long as they don't get itchy trigger fingers. And this is the thing. Those teams down the bottom, especially the big boys, You know, will they get itchy trigger fingers? Will they sack their managers? And then there's a problem. And it's interesting. So there's been some interesting statements coming out of Cardiff City this week, talking about maybe a potential 2 more signings at least, one of which is going to be a game changer. Look, in my opinion, don't talk about big name signings or game changing signings until the ink is on the paper. Because whilst football fans do have a short memory, you know, it looked by all sense and purposes, Gareth Bale was coming to Cardiff, and then all of a sudden, Jonathan Barnett was in his ear and he was going to America. So as good as you, or as much as you think a deal is done, it is not done until the writing's on the paper. You know, Jurgen Klopp was talking about how they had a deal agreed for Casado only last week in his press conference. By the time the press conference finished, I think he had pretty much turned him down and said he was going to Chelsea, who now look unbelievable. But it's such an interesting one to me, because Cardiff have had a good window, but it's not quite yet. And it's almost, I do wonder whether some of it is the chairman putting a bit of pressure on the other people within the board, the owner, you know, to back the manager. I wonder if there's a bit of that. You never know what's going on in that side of things. A big blow for Middlesbrough, just going back to Middlesbrough, is they've just lost their striker Akpom for 10 million to Ajax. That's a problem. You know, big name, big striker. You need that. And I worry that the window gets closer, teams start to panic now. You know, as the window gets closer to closing, teams are going to panic. You got players you don't want. You got players do you want to bring in. You got to get it right. If you panic and you get the wrong players, it can screw you over for the season. Leicester made a good signing this week where they signed Cassidy on loan from Chelsea. Really, really looking forward to that. Jaden says in the comment, hopefully Grant won't be anywhere near Cardiff starting lineup on Saturday. That's interesting. You're not the first person I've heard say that. Whereas in the build-up to the season, I felt like him and Robinson were our best finishers. But people don't seem to have been too impressed with Grant. I don't think Grant's 100% fit, personally. I think he's still recovering. But look, as far as I'm concerned, Cardiff are still lacking one midfielder, probably a centre-back, and I still think we haven't got a striker. Like, I know we've got Ugbo, who scored 2 and 2. We've got Atete, who has looked all right last year. We've got Robinson, who we need to get fit. We got Mate, we got these others. I just don't think we've got a proper striker who doesn't have to be prolific necessarily, because we have got players around who can score goals and provide goals, but he needs to be good. That's why I thought Connor Wickham did such a good job when he came to Cardiff, and I thought Connor Wickham's performances had a massive impact on how Sorry Kaba was able to get his goals playing off him. So it's not necessarily about getting a striker who's going to go and bank you 25 goals. Of course, that'd be nice. It's about getting a striker who is going to fit the way we want to play. And so far, the way we've lined up, I'm not convinced that any of the strikers that we've got at the club now can fulfill that number 9 role and do the job that we want him to do. I think Atete has not started the season very well, but also, you know, his attitude was questioned by a lot of fans in the EFL Cup game last week. You know, people were not happy with him, which is, you know, is one thing if you're not in the best of form or it's early season and you're not quite up to speed. But there's another thing to have your attitude questioned so early on and be sort of sulking and the rest of it. That's a problem. Like, you know, let's have a look at some of these comments then, because I'm interested in some of these guys. Let's have a look. Jonathan Davis, like the 2 past summers, we're missing the target man. Hopefully we don't wait till January to get one this season. 100% agree. I still think there's a chance Kiefer Moore comes on loan. No sort of inside information or nods or rumours. I did hear a rumour a couple of weeks ago that he had asked to come to Cardiff on loan. However, I haven't heard anything since. And then equally, I think he makes a massive difference in the Cardiff side. His link-up play is excellent. He can finish as well. He's good in the air. He's good defensively. He ticks all the boxes. He is like a exceptional, or he's like the similar player to Connor Wickham, but better in every way. Quicker, younger, stronger, whatever. Let's have a look. What else we got? Jonathan said, "Is that the same Cassidy who couldn't get in the red inside?" I'm not 100% sure, but I know he's highly, highly rated. And also, the other thing is, playing for Reading, with the greatest respect, and the team they had last year is not the same as playing in this Leicester side, which with the players they've got in there now. They've got an excellent side of young players, and I think they're going to do really well. Reece says, "We've got a target man in Grant, I reckon. I want him in the middle, not on the wing. You need pace and directness out wide, and unfortunately for the player for that position is stuck at left back in O'Dowda." Yeah, I think this is a problem, is until we can get Jamalu Collins properly up to speed and fit, O'Dowda's sort of filling in at left back, which always, it just makes the re-signing of Joel Bagan really weird, like to give him a new contract when we need a left back. But then I think he's gone out on loan now. It's a strange one. It's got to be said. It's a strange one. Jaden says, "Someone who sits near me in the canton said he's a striker. But let's be fair, playing on the wing isn't a huge difference." I don't know. So everything I've seen of Carlin Grant before he came to Cardiff was that he was very quick, very good finisher, been a bit unlucky with injuries, but he's capable of getting goals. I assumed that he would play through the middle with Robinson on one side, Ramsey in the number 10, and then someone on the left, whether it's Bowler, obviously we brought in then, or O'Dowda or someone like that. But that doesn't necessarily seem to be the way they're going. But look at Rashford for United, right? Playing through the middle, he's all right. He can do a job. Okay, he can do it. But if you put him on the left and he isolates the defender when he's running at the defender and he's running in behind, he looks 10 times better. So whilst I get what you're saying, there's not a massive difference between playing a wide attacking role and a central attacking role. There is differences, which mean certain players will always do better in their preferred position. I think we'd be better as a team. I think we'll do better with Robinson or Grant through the middle than we will. I'm not sold on Ugbo. I don't particularly rate Atete, although I thought Atete did all right last year. So it's a tricky one. Reese's mum says Atete is awful. He needs to go on loan. Bambi on ice springs to mind after watching him last week. Yeah, I mean, look, one game doesn't mean that he should be shipped out and blah, blah, blah. I thought he did all right last year when he came off the bench and he played little roles. But I don't think we can go in and expect to have a good season if he's the number one option as the number 9. And that's what you've got to think about. It's not just the game this weekend. We're playing Leicester at the weekend, which is a massive, massive game. And you look at the options they've got, and then you look at the options we've got, and it's like, come on. Oh, yeah, Jonathan Davis says what I was just about to say. Bournemouth don't want to loan Kiefer Moore out. They want to sell him. So unless they fail to sell him, we won't get him. Yeah, I think ultimately, if we're going to get Kiefer Moore, which I think is probably 50-50, if that, is more likely to be right at the last minute if they can't get a buyer. Reese says, I'd bring in a loan for a left back. Gutas looks slightly off the pace for British football, but he's good, has experience. Left back to organise the defence. Yeah. But so Jonathan says, Joe Bagan looks decent. We needed it to extend his deal, but he needs regular games to develop. But surely, mate, whilst we're waiting for Jamalu Collins to get fit, the start of the season now, where there's less pressure because we're not in a relegation fight. We're not in a playoff fight. We're not in anything at the moment. We're just getting going. Surely, like, while Jamalu Collins gets up to speed, now would have been the time to give Joel Bagan some games. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. I've always thought he looked pretty good. He's got to play, though, and I agree. If he's not going to play, they may as well loan him out. It's different. I just think there's got to be better strikers out there than what we've got. If you remember, I did a video in the summer, or at the start of the summer, where I said 5 free players I thought would improve Cardiff City. And one of them was Timo Pukki on a free transfer. Championship proven, experienced, can do a job as a striker on his own, can play as a 2, could probably drop in a 10 or wide if needed, but he's better going through the middle. But we didn't do him, and I think he's gone out to America now. Which is, look, I get it, good signing, but like, he was there for the taking. We didn't go in for him, and now it'll just come down to who's around, who's available. I'm sure there's some Premier League strikers around, maybe looking to go out on loan, but I think, look, let's put it this way. If the plan is to play Atete or Ugbo as the number 9 for the season, with the wide players being Bowler, O'Dowda, Robinson, and Kyle and Grant, I think we're going to struggle, because I don't think Grant and Robinson are most effective wide, although Robinson, I think, is slightly better out wide than Grant. But I also don't think Atete is ready to lead the line, and I can't make a judgment on Ugbo yet. I've only seen him in 2 proper games, but I don't think his link-up play is great. So he's not doing what Connor Wickham did so well last year. Yes, he scored 2 goals, but I mean, they were simple tap-in for a striker. They weren't like he did exceptional work for it. But you got to give him time. Young player, new club, let him bed in. Like, I know people, I said to you a few weeks ago, people at Cardiff City, when they got Ugbo, were very, very excited. They viewed it as a bit of a coup. I did not see that in pre-season at all. But what you can't deny is he's played 2 league games and scored 2 goals. So from that side of things, that's obviously a positive. But if we're planning to go in as we are now, I think we're short. Ojo's gone on loan to Belgium. I think that suits everyone. I still think we're short. But this is the other thing, right? And you guys who follow I agree with you there, Rob. Rob says, I think Ugbo would be better as a pair up top. Yeah, I think he would be better. Like, you imagine if they played him and Robinson or Grant up front, I think you'd see a better version of Ugbo. It is difficult to play up front on your own, but you got the job. So, most clubs play 1 up front with sort of 3 behind or whatever, and people around them. You've got the best number 10 in the league in Aaron Ramsey. So it's about, we've got to get him on the ball, and we've got to get the right players in the wide positions and the attacking positions to get the best out of Aaron Ramsey, because he will create. I think at the moment I would play Tanner. If Robinson isn't fit, I'm playing Tanner, because out of all of them, he looks direct, sharp, attacking, and it looks like he's confident at the moment. I'd give him a go. Pick players on form. I think Bowler's been pretty good going in. So maybe, look, Leicester's going to be difficult. Let's be real. It's going to be a very, very difficult fixture away at Leicester. We're probably going to hit them on a break. So I'm doing a full preview, which should be out either tomorrow night or Friday night. I'm not sure yet. Full tactical preview of that. So I don't want to go too much into that at the moment. But I mean, if we're going to try and hit them on the break, you got to get the right players in the wide. The players in the wide positions have got to protect the fullbacks, and the player up front has got to hold the ball up, because if every time we play the ball up to the striker, it just breaks down and he loses the ball, we can't for 90 minutes like we did against Leeds, or for most of the game like we did against Leeds, particularly after we scored that second goal, just hold on. We haven't got the players to do it, and Leicester have got a decent side. So if we're going to try and go there and just play deep, we need to be good on the counter-attack, which means the striker's got to hold the ball up and get in behind, and the wingers have got to do a lot of work defensively, but then they've also got to get forward. We've got to get Aaron Ramsey on the ball, and when he's got that ball, there's got to be lots of movement off him. There has to be, and you've got to beat the right players. So I say I would give Tanner a go. I wouldn't necessarily play Tanner from the start against Leicester, but for that Sheffield Wednesday game, if Tanner continues his form off the bench and looks as sharp as he had, I'd get Tanner in for that home game. Give him a chance, because he looks sharp, direct, looks like everything we wanted Ojo to be. You're right there, Reece. Reece says there's so much pace in that Leicester side. Counter-attack football won't work. Might be worth getting on the front foot for 20, 25 minutes, try and get a foot in the game. What we have to do better is Cardiff have to keep the ball better. Like, we give the ball away so much on Saturday. Like, and this is what you'll see from teams like Leicester and Leeds. They keep the ball. So even if they are under a bit of pressure, they keep the ball. And my worry is that we don't seem able to hold on to the ball. And what worries me about that is I think he might move Ramsey back to try and get a bit more control in midfield. And then I think we're going to have a problem, because then I think you're going to see that he hasn't got the legs that he used to have. Look, they could do some damage to us, man. Like, Leicester have got some very good players. Very good players. So we're going to have to be at it. We're going to have to defend well. Like, I was speaking to Derek the other day, and obviously you saw the preview for the season. In my opinion, Jack Simpson is not quite ready, and he makes me nervous. But Derek really likes him because he says he's a good defender, he's left-footed, and he also keeps the ball well. And he progresses the ball through the midfield, which is how we seem to be playing, trying to pass through midfield. And Simpson does give you that at the back. So maybe there's a chance, if you want to try and keep the ball better, maybe Simpson left back. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. That's just which comes to my head. So it's going to be interesting. I thought Simpson did well against Colchester, but like, they've got so they line up at the moment. Leicester have been lining up with Winks in that sort of holding midfield role, and actually he did a really good job against Huddersfield, protected the defence, but it's the way he dictates the play. Let's have a look at their lineup. Yeah, so they have Winks, Dewsbury Hall, and Prayett on Saturday against Huddersfield. Winks did a very good job, but they got real pace on the outside with Ricardo Pereiro and Doyle at fullback, and then they've got the two lads either side of Iheanacho. But then they got Vardy off the bench. They got a lot of experience as well, like Albrighton, Vardy, and Didi will be back in that side soon, I'd imagine, as well. Obviously got Ward on the bench and stuff like that, Chowdhury. They got a lot of quality, mate. So you're going to have to... So Reece says, I don't know how much of Simpson Derek has watched, but often he gets beaten far too easy. Seems to make a few mistakes on the ball. Not confident with him at all. Yeah, I'm saying I think he's nervous, but I think what Derek said to me is that he's very much like a ball playing centre-back. And if you put him alongside the right person, if that's the way the manager wants to play, then he could be good. Personally, in these games with Cardiff where they're playing the bigger teams, if you like, I wouldn't be against playing like a 3-5-2. I think it could work quite well. So like, you go with the keeper, And then maybe you could go with like McGuinness, Gutas, and Simpson. But if Gutas is struggling or you're not confident with Simpson, you've got NG can slot in there. Then out wide as your wing backs, I'd have O'Dowda and Bowler. I think both do a good job. Although Perry NG could do the wing back job. So say you were playing a 3 at the back because you wanted to get Simpson in there and on the ball, but not expose him defensively. I wouldn't be against NG playing on as one of the wing backs because he's good on the ball. He can get forward. Personally, I do like it. NG in a 3, and then you got Wintle. I still think Wintle and Joe Rawls as a 2 is worrying. Like when you look at the pace Leicester have got, the pace Leicester have got in midfield and out wide, and you put Ramsey, Rawls, and Wintle in the midfield area, I think is a worry. So for me, as much as I love Joe Rawls, I think Wintle has to play because you need that combative side to try and break up play. I'd play Ebo Adams, even though I'm not sure if he's the one. I'd certainly, from what we've got, I'd have Ebo Adams and Wintle with Ramsey up front, Ramsey in front of them, and then I'd play 2 up front, and I'd play Ugbo up top with either Grant or maybe even Robinson or Ted. Maybe is a little left field. What about if they played Ugbo up front with Tanner just off him in a 5? But I think, like Reese's makes a good point. He says, I think we saw the issues of a back 5 last season. Our only width came from our wing backs, which meant they don't get the ball. It's far too easy to defend against. Yeah, but the way you circumvent that is, or you navigate that is, you push. The wing backs have got to be high enough to be wingers as well. They've got to be fit enough to get back, obviously. And you have Wintle sit in front of that 3. So that you have a 4, like almost in the center of your half. If the wing backs get exposed and the ball goes down the wide area, like a long ball or a ball down the wide areas, the centre backs on either side have to cover the wide areas with the holding midfielder dropping then into the middle of the defence so you don't get exposed. So you can play the wing backs higher up. And you've got to get Ramsey on the ball. You've got to get the wing backs up there. You've got to get then Tanner on the ball if it was him, or Grant on the ball and run at people like Carlin Grant, Tanner, Bowler, Callum O'Dowda. Like these people, you've got to get them isolated one-on-one against fullbacks because they will beat their man and they will put a cross in or they will get a cut inside and they'll get a shot off. Like they're skillful footballers whose biggest assets is their running with the ball, but it's no good having them on the ball if you're not isolating them against the fullbacks or isolating them against one player. What I was saying about Rashford earlier, playing off the left, they isolate him against the fullback and then he beats him with his pace. We've got players to do that now with Bowler, O'Dowda, Robinson, Tanner at the moment looks like he could do that. Got those direct players, but it's getting them into the right position. Unfortunately, we're not keeping hold of the ball in midfield, which is why I think, even though I kind of go back on what I said about, I worry about the legs of Rawls, Ramsey and Wintle. I don't think there's enough energy in there. Rawls does give us a bit more control in midfield, which is why I think we go 4-2-3-1, and you'll end up with NG at right back, Gutas and McGuinness. Left back will be O'Dowda. Then you'll have Wintle, Rawls, Ramsey, and then you sort of Bowler one side. I know Grant and probably Ugbo. I think that's the team he'll pick. It's not the team I would pick. If I was going to go 4-2-3-1, I'm probably playing Grant through the middle. I would try something different. Try and hit Leicester on the break. Like, we've got to use the ball better against teams like Leicester who will punish you and who, look, if we just sit back against Leicester, eventually they will score. If we sit back against Leicester, they will just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. So we have to find a way to keep the ball, but then use the ball. And we have got some players who are capable of that. If Ugbo is having trouble holding the ball up, then we need to get Ramsey on the ball and play it in behind the fullbacks for the wide players, or in little holes for Grant. So if, say, Ramsey's got the ball in sort of the number 10 area, instead of looking to go to Ugbo's feet and play off him, let's look to go in behind and have Grant running in behind, or Bowler. If you're going to go wide, you have Bowler and Robinson or Tanner, like high and wide, and try and stretch Leicester and pull their players out of position. But we don't do that enough sometimes. I feel like our movement is very static and very unimaginative. Like the number 9, the number 9's job when he plays up front alone is, of course, to link up play, score goals, but it's also to pull the centre backs out of position so the wide players can get in behind. And I just feel like our movement is very average off the ball, particularly when you've got someone like Aaron Ramsey who sees things that others don't. So Jonathan says something that I think it was Jaden said earlier, like Grant was awful versus QPR. Don't think he warrants playing, not let alone starting on that performance. So my thing with that is, I think I said earlier, I do think he's not a wide player. I think he's a centre forward, and I think what he will be best at is playing through the middle. However, I agree, if someone, whoever, is not playing well enough, you don't just keep him in the team. We have got options. Okay, so all right, Grant was awful. Tanner's been good in a couple of games, coming on and playing and whatnot. So he's been very direct. He's done really well. Let's get him in there. Bowler's doing well. Let's get him on the watch. So you've got two wide players. It's about getting the right people in the right positions, and it's about playing people. What's that saying? Oh, Reese has just said that. You play round pegs in round holes, not try and fit people. So don't try and fit people in because you feel they should play. Play players where they should be playing. Of course, O'Dowda should be the other winger to Bowler. Let's be honest. If you had Bowler and O'Dowda as your wingers, happy days. And then getting the right centre forward to play. But we haven't got a left back, so O'Dowda's doing a job for the team. Great. So then it's about, right, pick players in their right positions and pick players who are playing well. So if Grant gets dropped for Saturday versus Leicester, maybe he trains harder and he plays harder, and when he comes off the bench, he tries harder to get his place back. Like, if people think they're just going to play, no matter how badly they play, then this is an issue. So, like, we need to get movement. So like, I don't think Ugbo is going to run in behind. But what we need to do then is he needs to drop in a little deep, receive the ball to feet, get his link-up play better, and then create the space for the wingers or for whoever to run in behind. It's frustrating, but for too long, I think Cardiff have tried to fit players to the system instead of saying, right, this is our system. He's a right back, he's a left back, he's a number 10, blah, blah. And play players where they play. So Carl Grant, if he doesn't get in as centre forward, then he's on the bench. Tanner deserves a chance. I did say earlier, I didn't think maybe Leicester was the game, but I do agree with something that one of you guys said. Leicester have got so much pace that I don't think we can do what we did against Leeds and just sit back and try and hit them on the break and grab a couple of, like, we've got to try and get control of the football. So it'll be interesting where they go. I'm looking forward to doing a full preview. In the full preview tomorrow, which will be out. Hopefully it'll be out tomorrow lunchtime, but I think it's more likely to be out Friday morning, if I'm honest, just because of the time it takes to edit it and whatnot. But we'll be doing a full tactical preview, looking at Cardiff, looking at the Leicester team and how they play, and kind of looking at it from that side of things. Got some new graphics and the rest of it, so it's going to be good. So look out for that video. And of course, we've got Roger Giggs on football. could give you a little peek at some of the graphics if I've got them still. So look, if you've got any questions, obviously you can get them in, and we'll have a look. I'll always try and answer them. So this will be the tactical overlay very quickly, if you can see that. So where the green boxes are, that's like the top one is obviously the camera, and then it'll have different things like next 3 fixtures, transfer rumours, men to watch, stuff like that, players to watch. So it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to the new style of video. Started it the other day, but we started it recently with some other stuff. But this one's, I'm hoping to do a preview of Cardiff games, a tactical preview of Cardiff games each week, where we have a little look at the opponent, we have a look at the predicted team, and see how Cardiff City can try and win the games. So I'm looking forward to that weekly content. You know, they'll be like 15-20 minutes long videos, graphics, try and do a good analysis and preview of the games. If you guys want more sort of content like that, as well as the podcasts, you know, like the kind of shorter videos based on a specific subject or players. The other thing I did think about was like doing videos or analysis on players that are linked to Cardiff to kind of, you know, see how they'd fit in the team. Would they be a good fit? Have a look at their stats and stuff like that. Transfer targets and stuff. Well, you know, stuff like that. But if you fancy that sort of content, do let me know. I'm always open to ideas for, particularly, I'm going to do more like video content as well as the podcasts. Sort of 15 minutes video on a subject, analysis and stuff like that. So like I say, tomorrow or Friday morning be the Cardiff Leicester preview. I'm going to try and get them out once a week. All right, let's have a look on the old comments. Reese says, problem is playing round pegs in square holes. Grant's a target man, not a winger. O'Dowda is a winger, not a fullback. If we're playing Ugbo, you play the ball in behind, not as his feet to hold up. He's got no pace to be on the wing. I think you're talking about Grant. So if you know he's not beating you with pace, you can get tight to him, win the ball, and the ball won't go over the top as they know he's not quick enough. Yeah, I agree. It's if you know what's coming, or you know that the winger, the wide player receiving the ball, cannot do you for pace, you're automatically going to go tighter. As soon as he gets that ball, you're on him and you pinch it because you know he can't do you for pace. If you know the winger can do you for pace, you can't go in like as he receives the ball because he's just one little touch around you or one little bit of skill and he is gone. So you can't commit to it. You've got to stand off, show him on the outside if he's got pace. But in like Bowler's case, a winger who likes to cut in, they'll try and push him down the outside because they know he can do him for pace and but he likes to cut inside and have a go. So it's an interesting one, you know. But I agree, you've got to play players in their best positions, and there's no way that you could tell me Carlin Grant is a centre forward, is a winger. I think Robinson's better through the middle, mind, than he is wide. But I know some people, people don't necessarily agree with me. Lorna says, where does Colwell feature? Sorry, Ruben Colwell to me is the direct replacement for Aaron Ramsey. So when Ramsey comes off, Colwell comes on. When Ramsey has a rip break, Colwell starts. Like that's his job, is to be the understudy to Aaron Ramsey. I don't want to see him out wide or anywhere else unless, you know, we get a player sent off or an injury or whatever. Reese, that's exactly what I said last week or the week before. Robinson is the best finisher at Cardiff City. Why the hell are we playing wide all the time? He can get in behind. He can beat a man. He's big and strong, so his link-up play is decent. It's not amazing, but it's decent. He can hold the ball up. He can lay it off and he can deal with a defender being all over his back. He can also turn and get spinning behind and leave a defender because he's got that extra bit of pace. He can beat a man with the ball and he can finish. So to me, Robinson's my preferred number 9, but for whatever reason, the manager and people don't seem to agree. He'd be my choice for number 9. If I could pick from a fully fit squad, he's my number 9. I'd have O'Dowd at one wing, Bowler the other, Ramsey as a 10. I'd have Wintle, and then I'd have a new midfielder, but Rolls will fit in there, I guess. I wonder whether, like, if Ruben Colwell can fulfill his potential, the future will probably be Ramsey playing in a deeper midfield role, trying to dictate play, and Colwell at 10. But Colwell's got a long way to go to prove he can do that job week in, week out in the Championship. However, his performance against Colchester was a great sign that he is capable of doing it, and he looked fit and confident, and what we expect him to be against Colchester, as opposed to the very various cameos he made last year and not many appearances. He never quite looked the same as what we were expecting. So I was really happy to see Ruben Colwell perform like that against Colchester, get his goal, could have scored another one or two. So I was very happy to see that, because I think being Ramsey's understudy should not be viewed as like a bad thing or a demotion or, oh my God, Ramsey's not going to play every game of the season. So Colwell should be, in his head, to me, Colwell should be playing out of his skin to make sure that whenever Ramsey's not playing, he is the guy. He should be trying to win Ramsey's place off him, learning from him. Like, if all the players to learn from, the Welsh captain is the guy, Reece says, I can't imagine Ramsey playing deeper. He's not got the legs to run the midfield. If he did play deeper, it would be the McPhail role, the pivot in front of a back four with two or more. Right. So what I meant with that is, if let's say Ruben Colwell has a great season this season playing as an understudy, and next season we're like, right, he's ready, he needs to play week in, week out. Now he's good enough, he's doing the job, he's electric, he's quick, he's like Ramsey but quicker. Okay, great. Colwell's your number 10. I would put Ramsey in a pivot at 2, and I'd sign another midfielder who can be the legs, who is aggressive, wins the ball back, tackles. What I'd like is the guy from Leicester would be perfect for that role. I forget his name. I would try and sign someone, because I do think Ramsey can do that job if he's got the right person next to him. I don't think he could do it with Wintle or Rolls now, but I think he could do it with a midfielder who had a lot of energy, a lot of legs, aggressive, very good at interceptions, but also can pick a pass to progress the ball through the lines. And that's what, like, you got to, if we're going to play the ball from defence through midfield and try and be that type of team, play out from the back, you've got to have players in central defence and central midfield who can progress the ball through the lines and progress the ball into areas that are going to cause you problem. I'm not sure we've got those players now. So, like, all right, let's say Derek's right and Jack Simpson is that player in defence, but he's not good enough defensively at the moment to go ahead of Gutas or McGuinness or NG. And then you've got Wintle is very good at the aggressive side, but is he good enough to bring the ball forward and find that pass through the lines? Probably not, if we're being honest. Rawls is good enough to pick the pass and progress it with a pass, but he can't carry the ball really. And he hasn't got the legs to be the CDM either, or the defensive midfielder, or the aggressor. So we're not quite there yet. I can see why. Yeah, I quite like Sawyers. Reece says Sawyers seems to do quite well in that role, dropping deep to pick the ball up and moving it about. Yeah, I quite like Romain Sawyers. And actually, I think when I said Ebo Adams to play alongside Wintle on the weekend, I sort of was second guessing it as I was saying. I think I'd go with, I don't know. See, Leicester are so good. They've got so much pace. They're good in midfield. And I think Ebo Adams offers a little bit more defensively than Sawyers does. But I actually think Sawyers can be the guy who progresses the ball through the midfield. I think he's technically excellent. So do you sacrifice that little bit of defensive work for a bit more control in the midfield? It's interesting. You'll find out who I pick tomorrow in my preview. Yeah, look, we haven't. You're right again. Spot on, mate. We have never replaced Gunnarsson. A proper ball. We haven't got a box-to-box midfielder. Someone. So ideally, in a pivot, you want one who sits and gets the interceptions, wins the tackles, covers the defense, protects the defense, which is your Wintle at the moment. And then you want the other one to be kind of able to carry the ball, able to spray the ball about a bit or find a pass through the lines, but also be able to get forward and arrive late in the box and break the lines off the ball with runs through, but is also able to get back. And it's a shame, Reese, because what did we say? Oliver Norwood would have been a good signing for Cardiff this year and what they needed in the midfield. There's other midfielders around who are kind of box to box. One player I would like us to have a look at on loan is Hannibal from United. I thought he had a really good season at Birmingham last year. He was really good for United in pre-season. He's so aggressive, but he's technically very good. If we could get him, he makes our midfield better and more combative, but also technically better to move the ball through the lines, move the ball up the pitch. Don't think it'll happen. I think he's more likely to go on loan to a Premier League club this year, but I really like him. I like his aggression, like the level of aggression that he gives. I think he'd be a tremendous signing, and he's exactly what Cardiff need from a technical standpoint and also a combative standpoint as well. So it's interesting. Reese says Norwood perfect set piece specialist, can pick a pass. Yeah. Daniel Johnson also out there. Think he might still be on a free. Everything went through him at Preston. Yeah, I'm not as big a fan of Daniel Johnson as I am of Oliver Norwood. Like, I really genuinely believe Oliver Norwood was just signing on a free that Cardiff should have gone for. Like, I don't understand why we were at least trying to sign him. And it felt a bit like we missed out on him we missed out on a couple of like frees because the manager situation hadn't been sorted at that time. But to me, like, if we'd just ended up with Norwood on a free and Hannibal on a loan, what a midfield pair they'd have made. Daniel Johnson's gone to Stoke, says Jonathan Davis. Well, there you go. Yeah, look, Stoke have started well, mind, as well. Tommy Doyle would be perfect. If we could get him on loan, be fantastic. Or that lad McAtee from Chelsea was fantastic for Sheffield United last year. Yeah, mate, there is players out there in the Premier League clubs who are going to be going out on loan, and it's about finding the right players for what we need. So if we're saying we need one central midfielder who's kind of aggressive, but also, can pick a pass, can break the lines, can be a bit of a box-to-box midfielder, Hannibal ticks that box. McAtee, there's a few others who kind of tick a box. If we need a striker, Kiefer Moore is obviously the one I think we want. However, I don't think it's going to happen, or it's certainly not going to happen until at the end of the window. I don't know how many loans we've got. How many loans have we got currently, and how many can you have? Like, have we got many left? That would be typical Cardiff, is get someone on loan and then Kiefer Moore is available on loan right at the end of the window and we've got none left. That would be vintage Cardiff City. In my opinion, we need 3 signings at the moment. My 3 signings would be a striker, a central midfielder, and then I think you've got to choose between a left back and a centre back. I also think if you signed, you could play NG, could play left back, and then play Romeo right back. Here's a couple. So Jonathan Davis with a couple of blinding suggestions. So Tommy Doyle has not gone anywhere yet. I thought he went somewhere. And then he said Ikpeazu hasn't gone anywhere yet. Yeah, Tommy Doyle would be a great signing. Where was he? Was Sheffield United? He was on loan, was it? Yeah, he did all right for them last year, if I remember correctly. Him and James McAtee. Yeah, see, them two played together, didn't they? Sheffield United last year. They played over 30 games together as well. Oh, mate, don't even about Cody Drama. I love him. Reece says sign Cody Drama as left back and Tommy Doyle to play alongside Wintle. But I'm pretty sure Cody Drama's injured, like I got along to. Didn't he get injured in pre-season? And he's out for a while. Or am I thinking of someone else? Jonathan says we need 3. If Allsop stays, but he's linked to Hull, so then it becomes 4 and you need a keeper. Yeah, I agree with that. You need, but you say keeper, centre-back, centre-mid and striker. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think I would go for a centre-back over a left-back. Just unless it was Cody Drama, then right. It looks like Drama's back. Let's have a look. Was Cody Drama in the lead squad in the last game? Let's have a look. Tommy Doyle was with us 2 years ago and then Sheffield United last season. Yeah, like him and McAtee played 30 odd. I think one of them played 33, one of them played 37. I've gone off it now. But Sheffield United went up, you know? So if you can get either of those, I think they do a job, don't they? You know? I would, in all honesty, I would take Tommy Doyle, Hannibal, or McAtee to play alongside Wintle now. I would take it now, depending on what you want. I think if you want a box-to-box midfielder, I think Hannibal ticks that box. You can also play as a 10. I thought Cody Drama was injured. I think if you looking for a more sort of sitting technical centre midfielder, maybe Tommy Doyle or McAtee, but I think all 3 improve us ultimately. Jonathan Davis says if McGuinness or Gutas get injured, we are in trouble. We have to play Simpson. Yeah, Simpson just makes me nervous. I mean, I gotta be honest, I think he'd play NG in the middle before he plays Simpson in a championship game. I think. That's just me guessing though. Reese says surprised that Balu hasn't used more of his connections and brought in players he knows from Turkey. Only Gutas, all the rest are championship players, and he said he wasn't well versed in the championship. And that's, do you know what though, mate, right? So right now, as we stand, I think we benefit more from bringing in like young, like, so it depends on the role, I guess, but like for the midfield position, we need the 3 we just talked about. Tick the box: young, hungry, aggressive, technically good. It's what we need. Is someone like that who can play midfield, but it's not like in the Ruben Colwell sort of stage of their career where they're looking to improve and play games. We need someone who's ready to give us 30 to 40 starts in the season. You know, it's a fascinating watch. Like Leeds, yeah, I agree with you, Jonathan. Leeds are in trouble because you've got Nonto refusing to play after he looked electric against Cardiff. Typical, you know, plays against Cardiff and then refuses to play. But he looked, you know, he's a Premier League player, easy. Like he shouldn't be in the Championship. They still got Daniel James and Shackleton, and obviously they've signed Joe Rodon as well. This is good signing. Let's look at their bench. Yeah, Cody Drama was on the Leeds bench on Saturday, so he's obviously back from injury. He's in their squad, so I'm not sure he's going to be in loan. Yeah, I wish they'd have that attitude against us and just not play with Sinistera and Nonto. Two good players, mind. Reece says I play NG or even Collins at centre-back, Romeo at right-back. I really like Romeo, really underrated. Yeah, I like Romeo too. I actually, in the chat with Derek, I said I wouldn't be opposed to Romeo. Thought he did a good job in midfield last year a couple of times. And I think against the big teams where you know you're going to be under pressure, I don't think there's anything you could play Wintle and Romeo together as a two. I think that gives you a bit more protection. Jack Harrison left them for Everton. Contract stated, if relegated, all players can leave on loan. So they're all trying to force moves. They only want 15 million for Nonto, though. That's a steal. Yeah, I'm surprised no one has come in. 50 million is nothing for someone who's going to be direct and pacey and be a trouble. But I understand they put a statement out on Nonto, didn't they? And they said they absolutely, under no circumstances, will sell him. And then it comes down to, if that's the case, they're not going to sell him. Does he sit out the season? You know, he's just wasting a year of his career. And if he sits out the season, clubs will think twice about taking him just because attitude and the rest of it. Leeds tried to sign Max Aarons, so they're looking for a right back, but he walked out with a medical to go to Bournemouth. Yeah, I thought that was hysterical. He just left. Who's their right back? Laird. No, sorry, that's the wrong team. Aylin. Yeah, Aylin is good, but he's getting on a bit and he's lost a yard of pace. And I think he'll get done by like a pacier winger. He also, could be tempting to pick up injuries. Ampadu's another one, which is so frustrating to see him playing for Leeds because, you know how frustrated I was by that. Quick question for you guys before we wrap up. Who do you think is the big name signing or the game-changing signing or whatever that you think Mehmet Dalman is referring to as coming into Cardiff and kind of changing the game? Who do you think it could be? Let's assume it's not Kiefer Moore. Who could it be? Would any of those three midfielders we just talked about on loan, would they be classed as like, top quality signings? I think there's an argument to be made that they'd be up there. I'm just not. To me, as a football fan and a Cardiff fan, I think they'd be tremendous signings, any one of them. But I'm not sure for someone like Mehmet Dalman, would they be classed as like game-changing signings? Not so sure. Reece says, Nonto, attitude is awful. Play, perform, put yourself in the transfer window, sulking and refusing to play. It's breach of contract, fine him heavily, and disgusting behaviour. Yeah, Jonathan says Aylin leaves a lot of space behind him. O'Dowda exploited him. Yeah, I think Aylin is decent in like the Premier League sort of thing, like where there's slightly different to the Championship. I think the Championship style, the more direct winners, like a lot of the Championship. A lot of the Premier League wingers now, like they play inverted wingers, so they're always cutting inside. So Aylin looked good against traditional wingers who're going to beat him and go, out in those wide areas like O'Dowda. I think he leaves loads of space and it's problematic. Reece says, I don't think it's anyone. I genuinely think he's trying to make himself look good and he'll say that we missed out on that player. I don't know. Like, I've got to say, the window so far has been way better than I thought it was going to be. So, I mean, you've got to give him credit for that, I suppose. It couldn't be any worse than it's been in previous years. I think it's been pretty good, but we're still at least 3 players short. If the keeper goes, we're 4 players short. But If we don't sign anyone else, I don't think we'll get relegated. So there we go. If you put it like that, okay? So that means we've had a decent window now. If we signed 3 good players, we've had a very, 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 very good window. Like if, let's say, I know, we bring in Kiefer Moore, Hannibal, and a centre-back. I don't think you can ask for a better window for Cardiff City when you can't spend any money. You know, I like you. I know people don't like the board and stuff, and I'm by no means a fan of the owners and stuff, but like you've got to give them credit. I think the window's been decent, not exceptional. If they bring in 3 good players, if they bring in a striker, a midfielder, and a defender now who are starters, not coming into the squad off the bench, blah, blah, blah. Like if they bring in 3 starters, like, so they go, right, here's your striker. Oh, he's number 9. He's going playing Saturday. Midfielder. Oh, he's playing alongside Wintle. Defender is coming in to play. Then I think it'll be a very, very good window. At the moment, I think it's decent, but not exceptional. Jonathan says, I think talking to someone who we don't know about, Tom Davis outpriced us on wages, but the club say he wasn't the first choice. Tom Davis is a decent player. Don't see many better frees. But then, yeah, Davis has gone to Sheffield United. Was Tom Davis going to drop into the Championship to join us over Sheffield United if we were able to match his wages? Don't think so. Darman talking about top 10 in January. Is that his and Tan's target? What happens if we're not there? Our records means they sack the manager going into January, and then we'll spend money again. It looks bad. Yeah, look, mate, if we are in the top 10 in January, 2 things, I think. One, I think that would be very, very good achievement by the manager, because I don't think we're anywhere near that at the moment. Like, I don't think we're a relegation fodder, but we're also not a playoff contender at the moment. We're not, like, on paper, squad-wise, we're not too far off, but he's also got to get that squad playing. But equally, if we're like 8th, 9th, 10th, January the 1st, Cardiff City and Vincent Tan and the rest of them, they will spend money. So it's going to, like, that will be quite exciting for Cardiff. We haven't had that for a while, like genuine excitement that we're going to actually spend a bit of cash. Jonathan, go back to what you said there, where you said you don't see any better frees. There were frees out there. They're not there now because they've all gone, but there were frees there. Right. How many loans can a team get? How many loans? Someone tell me how many loan players Cardiff have got now. Maximum loans in the Championship. Yeah, I agree with you. Sheffield United will be a Championship club next year. Absolutely, they will. Keen to see how clubs deal with us now after the Sala thing. They will demand more cash up front. Yeah, they probably will. So you're right. So we can have 5. You can have 5 loan players on a team sheet for any individual match. What? So you can have more. Right? No, you're allowed 5 loan players in a match day squad. So does that mean you can have more, but you can only name 5 in the squad? I don't know. Who have we got on loan at the moment? We got Grant, Bowler, and Ugbo. So we got 3. So, like, you could sign 2 and have no problem. But the way I read that from the official rules is that you can have more than 5, but you can only name 5 in the match day squad. So Kiefer Moore and one of those 3 midfielders on loan would be the 5. And then you'd have to try and find a defender on a free. Would you be happy with that? How would you rate Cardiff City's window if they signed Kiefer Moore on loan, one of the 3 midfielders we mentioned? So what was that? There was Doyle, Hannibal, and McTee. Yeah. And then a defender on a free. How would you rate Cardiff City's window if that was the final 3 signings on top of what we've already got? You tell me, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. But I'm interested, like, how you guys rate Cardiff's transfer window so far, and what it would be with those additions. Because that's, I think they changed Cardiff squad predominantly. We need starters though, not squad players. Whoever they bring in, they've got to be starters, not squad players. Please God. Club want to offload finalised signings. Ojo going for me tells me they think something is close. Yeah, so I haven't heard like any rumours or anything for about a week or two since the Kiefer Moore one, I think was the last one, or Tom Davis. I heard some stuff. However, I normally talk about this on Patreon rather than these shows because I don't like being the guy who says, oh, I've heard this and I've heard that. Someone did text me, or normally I don't speak to about like transfers and, you know, news behind the scenes and whatever. And he did say that Cardiff are talking to people about signing at least 2, maybe 3 players. But he didn't sort of say like, you know, it's close or who it is or anything. So it's pretty useless, I suppose. Yeah, the centre back doesn't have to be a starter, I don't think, because you've got Gutas, McGuinness, NG, Simpson, who can all do a job. So I think, yeah, but I think the striker and the midfielder need to be starters. Reece says a defender who can play centre back and left back. Tommy Doyle, I'd be happy. Not bothered if we get Kiefer Moore mid. Oh, I think Kiefer Moore would make a massive difference to us. Yeah, I think the manager knows who he wants. It's just whether the club can do it. But Grant Bowler, and yeah, we got a Bowler. I'm sure we've had like 5 before. The rules seem to say you can have 5 in the match day squad. So let's see. I can't believe Julian Timber's done his ACL. Gutted about that. I really like him. Oh, mate. Can't wait till tomorrow with Rodri Giggs. Join me at 8 o'clock because I'm going to be ranting about Harry Maguire. Oh, I'm going to be ranting about him. Like, how much more can Ten Hag do to tell him he's not wanted? Seriously, like, the man is 5th or 6th choice centre back at the club, and he's staying there for the money. Unbelievable. Yeah, Rodri was wrong about Harry Kane as well. Gonna definitely embarrass him about that. Give him some shit. But it's always good, mate. It's always good because, you know, me and Rodri, like, we'll always give honest opinions. We'll put our opinions out there and sometimes be right, sometimes be wrong. So, and you guys will disagree with some of the stuff. I know, like, there's a few of you who disagree with me about Arsenal might struggle for the top 4 and stuff like that. But we'll see, won't we? It's all opinions. It's always good conversation. Back tomorrow live at 8 o'clock. Please do join us for that. Friday morning will be the old Cardiff City Leicester preview. Friday night, I'm dropping a full podcast with Derek Brazil talking grassroots football and what he's up to now. Saturday, there's a new episode of My Story with Welsh band, the Anonymous Iconoclasts, and it's a belter. They also play some music, so it's a good one. As always, guys, I appreciate you all. I appreciate you getting involved. It's all good, baby. If you can, please sign up to patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. It's literally like £2 or something, but it does massively help the channel out. I appreciate you all. Take care. Jobless.